Welcome, Gemini. This is the Indigo Void, and my name is Drew, and today I'll be doing a reading for September 9th to the 15th. Today I'll be doing a general spread along with a You Against the World spread and an oracle card at the end to give you better possible guidance on the general situation that you're experiencing. This is not a specific reading for relationships or finances, but an overall energy on how to best reflect with the current situation in general. Because as the general sign of the zodiac, it's hard to be specific, so you're not hearing me using the terms three-party situation, twin flames, anything like that in these readings. So I'll teach you how to go through whatever you're experiencing on a general format. We'll improve as we go forward. Hopefully the sound quality is not too bad. I did order a microphone, so I'm waiting for that, so please be patient. So this is the energy for Gemini. Thanks for showing up. Center of the reading is the Two of Wands, crossed by the Empress. Above you is the Page of Swords. Below you is the Queen of Wands. Recent past is the Knight of Cups. The near future is the Justice card. Your advice is the Eight of Wands. How others are seeing you is the Nine of Swords. The hopes and fears section is the Page of Wands, with the outcome being the Lovers. So with the Two of Wands and the Empress crossed, we can definitely see that what you're trying to achieve is the best way to put action into having a lot of prosperity and respect. You know, the Empress correlates with the sign of Taurus. As many of us know, if you're watching tarot for a while, you know the Empress is always with the Taurus and its qualities. You know, self-worth, luxury, abundance, but also the finer things of life. You know. And with the Two of Wands, underneath that we can see that there's possible two different options or two actions or two ways of thinking that are possibly trying to get you to the best possible outcome through that. And there's either a slow way or a short way and a long way that takes more time but maybe better worth your time. So if you're feeling a sense of trying to figure out which is the best possible action to either maintain that feeling of the Empress, of feeling a lot of abundance and self-worth and self-respect and luxury, or if you're trying to achieve it and you're looking for the best possible way to get to that goal, it really comes down to choosing one of them, investing your time up completely in that and not turning back. You know, take notes and just take responsibility for whatever you choose. But we can see here that it's ultimately important enough to have something you believe in. You know, understand that if you fail, it's not the end of the world. That is all about the part of the process to achieve that goal. You know, the energy of the Empress is an amazing one to aspire for, and it can be achieved as well as lost time and time again in multiple cycles, but it's always the end game for all of us. We all want to achieve that high amount of self-worth and self-respect and living in luxury in this life, and you know, often maintaining it with different paths of either loss or gain can be very typically mind-racking. And as a Gemini, you know, it would be uncommon for you to think things to death, and you know, also, you know, panic about not knowing which way is the right way. So you could be you know, taking action, especially if you're not taking any action, and still doing something. So it's best move to keep moving, especially if you believe in the actions you're taking that are clearer. And I'm not suggesting do anything dishonest, but just understand that what you're going to choose with your time to achieve or maintain the Empress energy, ultimately it should be within your own morals, something you're capable of understanding, that if it's going to be something that you're comfortable with, ultimately it's all that matters. You know, results are results at the end of the day. You know, and the slogan I've got from this is just always, you know, your reality is your responsibility, my reality is my responsibility. So, you know, but once again, it's very beautiful to see that, you know, either you have options to achieve this energy or you're figuring out those options, but it's nice to have them just as two. You know, just have more than that, to have multiple different paths to achieve that can be just as mind-racking. But I know having two options alone instead of one singular opportunity, or having to take one thing and add it to another, or you know, understanding one thing but learning another to maintain energy. It's like being very talented but not understanding how to harvest or monetize that can be nerve-wracking, but it's also part of the journey, and it should be respected but also taken seriously. Above you we can see the Page of Swords right here. So, you know, the intellect could be running wild. You know, it could be dealing with a situation or person, an opportunity, and it's just all about you know, thoughts running wild. Often, you know, it's correlated with people saying this card represents, you know, spying. And to me, it's more like figuring out information without being noticed or not wanting to be known. You know, thoughts of something that can be outside of your sphere of understanding. This could be daydreams, thoughts, signs, symbols, ways of, not being able to articulate these thoughts. You want to understand more about them, the curiosity of a situation. The more you want to think about something, the more you're trying to learn about it. Try to find ways that correspond into understanding it, because ultimately that these thoughts, they're abundant. They're obviously on your mind all the time, but you don't understand why they're there or what they mean. But it could be very inspiring. Below you, we can see the Queen of Wands energy. So this could be what you're feeling on the inside, and it's more hidden. Deep inside, you can tell from the Queen of Wands that you're capable of achieving a lot of things. It's all about investing in what you consider to be worthy of your time. The Queen of Wands has that, attractiveness, that self-feeling, the feeling of something before she achieves it. It's ultimately feeling a certain way to achieve the outcome. The outside does not dictate our feelings on the inside. Often we forget that how we feel within us is often how it's surrounded with us, around us. So make sure you focus on that feeling of feeling powerful, and therefore the outside will reflect the inside. Remember that. So what I can see is that you know what you're capable of, that you're passionate about whatever actions that you take, and that's a very strong suit to have. So just know that this, the Page of Swords up here letting you know that sure, you might understand something clearly, or you're trying to figure something out behind the scenes, or to get a better understanding. Just know that within you have all the qualities to achieve it, and that can be very frustrating for the Queen of Wands, because she takes very much pride in her actions, but therefore the Page of Swords is telling me that just because you don't understand something, because if you don't understand it, how can you use the Queen of Wands energy to manifest it and take action towards achieving it? So just realize that it's all part of the process. There's nothing wrong with the Queen of Wands not understanding on how to do something. She has the drive and is willing to take the action, knowing that through her history, her previous actions, that she's capable of achieving all things. It's all about the more she understands this Page of Swords energy, that she'll be able to get us where she wants to go, which is the Empress. So for what I can see here is that you're known for, and you know yourself as somebody that can get things done, and the ultimate benefit you when you feel inside like you're capable of understanding something foreign, something that's not very clear, that you can't stop thinking about. And the Two of Wands is saying there's two different paths. Utilize this unknown knowledge to the best of your ability, or to carry on without it. But ultimately, it's all about manifesting or maintaining this Empress energy. In the previous history, we have the Knight of Cups. And it's just saying that, making slow but steady progress towards emotional fulfillment is, it can be tricky, because it doesn't have the confidence of the King of Cups, knowing what he has capable of, and being able to have control over the emotions, almost being able to dictate and bring up and manifest, emotional feelings whenever he chooses to. He can feel anger, sadness, and recognize those are both yin and yang, polarizations of each other, to utilize those and understand what they represent, and banish and bring those into his elements whenever he chooses to. Whereas the Knight of Cups is more of exploring. So this could be wanting to move forward to understanding the maturing of relation or emotions. So I could definitely feel like as if you're making steady progress to that understanding of how to have balanced emotions towards any situations. Whether you're losing the Empress energy or maintaining it, it's important to understand that it's all about reaching that goal of maturity emotionally. To understand that even if you're unsure about whatever you're trying to figure out here, or these thoughts in your mind, just know that you're on your way to achieving that sense of emotional maturity, where you can even feel good in times where you're not meant to, or less immature person. It's almost like trying to find the good in all things. That's definitely the journey, of the Knight of Cups, is realizing that you can still find, you don't have to be a victim of not being able to feel fulfillment in situations just because they're not physically in front of you. Sometimes, if you're upset just because you don't have, imagine you're trying to drink a beverage and whatever, and you just finished the last one, or there's nothing left or whatever, still trying to find that same feeling you would get from enjoying that beverage, and just having to drink some water instead. I would think of something better at the time, but really that's what it's coming to me, is just, understanding that it's all part of the journey to find that emotional maturity, and to, realize that even if you're feeling uncertain, unsure, unclear, unhappy or happy, just know that it comes with ebbs and flows, and it's all about what happens internally first. Recognize that. That's what it's teaching me, is that the Queen of Wands ultimately, whether she's in power or she's not, but she maintains her power always because she has control over her internal actions. And so just realize that you're capable of that, because that's ultimately what the Empress It's all of the queens all at once, that they all have their own inner control, the most powerful versions of themselves, whether it be the actions they do for themselves, the thoughts they think to themselves, the emotions they feel for themselves, or what they've manifested for themselves. So just realize that's what you're capable of, and you will achieve that if you maintain, with the Two of Wands, figuring out what you possibly can invest. So just invest what you feel is the best and something you can live with, and recognize that failure is not the end. It's just a lesson to be learned to help you build success. And, go down that path as far as you feel comfortable with it, ultimately. The further you go down, only you are the one that should be responsible for saying, I've had enough, or this is not working. Often you can accept guidance from other people, but ultimately don't give up when you're 3 feet from gold, especially if you're living by somebody else's rules, whether it be a sibling, a parent, a spouse. If somebody's telling you to give up on something, make sure you give up when you're ready to give up. And then in the near future we have Justice. So we can see the outcome is coming just from a factual basis. Simply relying on the facts of a situation is such an air-like quality from Gemini. I'm doing this in the day of Mercury, just because I want to plug into the planetary energy of the signs. And it really seems like it would go in harmony with what you're choosing to do here. The Two of Wands is saying base your actions on facts. And the Queen of Wands is ultimately being very factual with her choices, being very wise, that she's achieved and maintained power from ultimately listening to the facts within her own mind. Sure, she's capable just as much as, using her emotions to dictate her actions, but at the same time, she would not be in power if she did not utilize, the facts of a situation. So with this Page of Swords is just saying that if you're not being made clear to whatever you're thinking about now, it will become clear to you in the future, and you're going to make the proper steps, because it's ultimately saying justice will be delivered if you're worthy of taking the time to understand the two choices that you're facing with the Two of Wands. And ultimately your goal is to experience or manifest or regain the Empress energy. So as your advice is saying, the Eight of Wands. So it's this, what it's saying, once you choose, once you're ready and you base your facts in concrete with the Justice card, and you understand that your self-worth and what you're capable of creating of, and you understand that the ebbs and flows of life through your emotions are just a part of the learning experience. And if you just take your ignorance in a situation, or your thought process, whatever you don't know, study to the best of your ability, invest some time into it, and know that you are worthy of your thoughts, and you can be capable of creating some of the best things out there. And the Eight of Wands is encouraging you to take quick action towards it. Once you've made a choice and decision, make a big change towards that. It's really pushing you towards doing that. And it's just saying, be responsible. Don't let people stop you in this decision. It's ultimately up to you. So whether it be have to do with a relationship, a workforce situation, or anything else in general, it's just telling you straight up is that once you make a choice on what you're going to do, to achieve this Empress energy, either you have it within you or it's going to manifest around you. Just know that you need to once you make your choices, continue down and don't stop. How other people are seeing you as somebody with the Nine of Swords energy. And that can be drastic, because a lot of people out you can see here struggling here with the Page of Swords energy, knowing what you're worth, and being stuck in your head and realizing it is only a nightmare. A lot of people could be looking on the outside in saying, man, your problems are so easy to solve. If it was me looking inside, on the outside, it doesn't look like it's torture at all. It's almost like somebody's watching you with like a VR headset on. You're wearing this VR headset, and somebody else is watching you react to like these holographic images you're seeing on the VR headset, and they look so painful, they look so real. You got the headphones on and the noises are right there, and it's like and somebody's just watching you, and they're watching you struggle with ultimately things that aren't even real around you, struggling with this mental prison, this mental hell. And really all you have to do is take off that headset, take off those negative thoughts, be control. Treat your mind like a restaurant. If you didn't order a negative thought form or a negative thought process, whatever, send it back. And send it back with, that passion, because you have the Queen of Wands energy. You have the Empress, which has self-respect, self-value, and respect. Learn to manifest and harness that true intellectual power and say, no, that's not what I ordered. Send it back and give me back what I ordered. And mean it with force. So don't let other people, don't let other people's help around you go to waste. If you have somebody to talk to, a therapist, a good friend, somebody you can trust, anybody around you that's capable of getting you out of this, and be real with what you're feeling, and maybe their perspective can actually help you, because they really see you as somebody that's mentally tortured by ghost or by thoughts alone. I don't really feel like you're experiencing anything but having too much control as as a Gemini, you could definitely be experiencing a way to think things to death, and that can be a real struggle, especially as an air sign, because you deal with so much thinking and clarity and factual things like, how can I do this? There's no way this is going to happen within this time frame, and other people are just needing to come into your life and help you realize that sometimes it just works without understanding the facts. Sometimes you just get lucky, and so recognize that it's all in your head, really, because people are seeing you struggle. Even if you think you're smart and you're holding together, whatever, they can see inside that you're dealing with some deep mental anguish. In the hopes and fears section, we can see with the Page of Wands is that you're just hoping for a clear path to charge into. It just wants to take action for action's sake. Whether it be, you're having to find work or make money or do something with your time. It's ultimately telling me that you just want the green light. You could be stagnated right now. You could be doing nothing with your time, nothing that you feel value. You could be, doing something all day and spinning your wheels, but ultimately you want a clear goal, that's enthusiastic, something fresh. It's almost like getting out. It's like you're tired of being stuck inside, whether it be, real, like literally stuck inside, or you could be stuck inside your head, where there's no way to expand, there's no people to talk to, there's no gatherings to go around, there's no communication, everything's the same, there's no new stories, there's no new versions to talk about, there's nothing but, a stagnation. It could be the same Groundhog Day feeling. The only thing different about it is probably the clothes you wear, if you even change your clothes. Some people might even change their clothes because why? I'm not doing anything today. I didn't do anything yesterday. There's nothing I'm going to do tomorrow. So realize that I can definitely tell that you're hoping and you're feeling that either whatever you're doing is wasting your time and you're spinning your wheels, or you're just hoping for something to give you a clear-cut direction on moving forward and just getting it going. You just want to get going, which I totally respect. I could not stand to be in stagnation doing nothing. So, at least nothing of value. There's all types of things that I could do that waste my time, but at the end of the day, we want to feel like we spend our energy doing something worth our value. And we can see here the outcome is the Lover's card. And so it's all coming down to that, what I consider the head or heart decision of how you're going to invest, because you can only invest in one choice, and this is going to line up with your heart, on some level. What I would consider, the subconscious and conscious mind, wherever they dictate so many different things, where our conscious mind tries to put everything in a more factual basis, where on the subconscious level it seems more obscure, like we don't know if we're making the best choice, but our gut is telling us to take an opportunity that we may not think at the first glance is the best opportunity. But this multiple choice game I'm seeing here is ultimately telling you, it's like, go with the facts ultimately. So use your head in this Lover's decision. Use your head, like the Gemini that you are. Realize that the negative thoughts, that's all they are negative thoughts. They're actually hindering you from creating action of value. And use your factual mind. Use that great intellect, that genius of Gemini. Really plug into your energy and take quick action towards it, because you are capable of achieving a lot of these things, and do what feels good for you. You know what I'm saying? Because the Empress is definitely your goal, but you already have the Queen of Wands within you. And the Knight of Cups is just here to let you know it's all part of the journey. So emotional fulfillment will come. Just take this chance, because stagnation, being paralyzed by the Knight of Swords, is the last thing that the people around you want to see, because nobody wants to interact with anybody that's negative. Nobody wants to interact with anybody that's just going to, pull their energy level down. If they're having a good day and you're not, I'm not saying that you're a toxic person, but I'm just saying is that people want to see people happy, because if they're happy, they won't ruin other people's happy days. And I can just see is that you're just waiting for the green light to go with the Justice card. So take the time, realize your goal, and whatever the goal is at the end of the day, whether it be a relationship, and that could be anything, whether it be romantic or on a career front or anything else. At the end of the day, I can just say it's like, find that the Empress is your end game. Make a decision between the Two of Wands with justice based on the facts. Page of Swords is learn to understand something that you could take the time to understand better, so you can make a clearer decision. It's almost like focusing in, and the Queen of Wands is knowing what you're capable of, making sure it brings value to yourself, and you're going to take action that you can respect. The Eight of Wands is keep going. The Knight of Swords is people are watching you and mental anguish. The Page of Wands just makes you want to go, go, go. And the Lovers is saying, choose your head. Just use your head and be responsible. Your reality is your responsibility. I really want to see you succeed. I can't wait to see Geminis are creative or awesome to talk to you. They can talk, and I really enjoy that, because awkward silence, is cool for some people, but to me, I love to get to know people and what goes on. Now I'm going to do a you against the world spread. So this is kind of like a relationship spread, but it's just 3 cards for you, 3 cards to the world, and a mutual energy in between. Let's see what the world wants for you and what you add to the world. Right, so the mutual energy between you and the world is the 2 of Cups. So, like I said, this is not specifically a love reading. But what I can say is ultimately the world is telling you to find harmony, emotional connections to what you're doing, and ultimately between you and the world is that it wants you to, whether you experience an actual relationship, harmony within a situation where you can look upon others, even if you're more successful than others or if they're more successful than you, just having that harmony between both sides, your actions and your beliefs. More importantly, does whatever you're doing bring you love and happiness in the day-to-day life? I mean, maybe you'd be doing a lot of important work, but you just don't feel happy on the inside, or that could be in any aspect. You're sure you may be doing important work. You might be an essential worker. You might be somebody that's spending a lot of time giving and giving and giving, but you have no passion for it. You could be a walking dead, feeling that your talents are wasted. So the world is saying, if you follow these steps, or if you take reflection on what it's trying to give you, and we can reflect on what you're giving back to the world, they can really find a way for you to achieve that harmony. That way to have passion and love just to wake up every day. And it doesn't have to rely on a person, a place, or a thing, a career or anything like that. It's just saying that if you want to live this life and you're not feeling like you love to live it, then that's the real issue that the world wants you to sort out. So we see on your side of the first energy is the 6 of Pentacles, and the world side we can see the Hermit card. And it's almost like what you're giving, you may not feel like you're getting in return on a certain level. Or maybe vice versa, it's saying that you're not giving enough to receive the rewards, the charity from the universe around you. But ultimately you want the world to, give you back what you give, and it could be very hard sometimes when we have expectations, and we're expected to be the best forms of ourselves, the best people, to have the best behavior all the time, and sometimes we just get a bunch of shit back. There's nothing worse than having a good day, stepping outside, and then you step right into a pile of dog shit. Or that could be like a person, you walk into any situation and somebody's just having the worst day, and for some reason you decide to wake up to be happy and they weren't. Any form, it can be, just remember, give more than you expect to get back, and you'd be surprised and sometimes how it's given back to you when you least expect it. But ultimately is that you are capable and worthy of receiving some form of charity. And sometimes when we want money, we get a romantic partner. Sometimes we want a romantic partner and we get money. It's just the trade-offs. Whatever you're thinking about the least right now, I would expect that to manifest, because if you lust for results, I very much doubt that your conscious mind or your subconscious mind is going to manifest these things. So whatever you're hoping for right now, if you just pay attention to something else instead of it, more than likely you'll achieve that anyway. And then the world side is the Hermit card, and we can see here it's telling you to guide to your inner light. Instead of expecting other people to do things, give out the light, and don't be afraid to be alone. Treat yourself like you're a person, like a fucking alien. It's just saying, have no fear of just finding inspiration from yourself and others. If you actually take the time to invest in yourself and your own understanding and increase your wisdom, you won't really necessarily rely on the charity of others. And how can I say that as a Gemini when you live off communication? I mean, being the rulers of the natural 3rd house, and having to do with Mercury, it's that ebb and flow, but you're constantly moving. You're just keep going. So how can you not, deal with the people? How could you be the hermit? How could you, not? But also too, it's that sometimes taking inspiration from others makes you have no original thought of your own. So it's time to come up with, these conversations for when you can have, interactions with others. You can bring something that's original because you're capable of originality, and instead of just talking for talking's sake, you can definitely come up with some awesome ideas just by your own mind. Have you considered ever just taking the time to reflect on yourself? Are you so busy trying to find a way to communicate with others or interact with others, whether it be on social media or the people around you? The world is just saying, or the world is just simply saying, take some time for yourself to reflect and listen to your own self. Have a conversation with yourself within your own mind, and realize that you actually have a lot more to offer instead of having to interact with others all the time. Because instead of having to copycat somebody else's idea, you can really bring some inspiring actions to the table, especially if you just take some time to, reboot the computer, or better yet, just shut it down. Shut down your inner computer and just let it process, let the motor shut off, let everything shut off, and Just stop panicking about things, thinking things to death, because I can see around you that you're having to be charitable for those around you. You might feel responsible for other people around you in your deck, whereas the world is saying, the world with the Hermit card is just saying, take a deep breath, take care of yourself, and hold some value and learn from your own lessons. Take some time just to learn your own lessons and follow your own inner light. And the next card we see for you is the Emperor, and on the world side is the Four of Wands. So I can definitely see what the Emperor here is telling you. It's telling me what you're trying to find as a position of power, and hold on to that power. And that's not a bad thing always, especially because the Emperor, like the Empress, whatever, has a self-worth and self-respect, but also he commands respect. People around him see him as a person that has authority, and he hasn't maintained authority for so long in his old age by being a fool, by rushing in, by making rash decisions. A lot of people in immaturity will think that he's making brutal choices or rash decisions, but the wisdom that he comes from understands of when to move and when not to move, when to say things, when not to say things. And so I would say embody the energy of the Emperor, especially because on the world side we have the Four of Wands, which is ultimately saying that, listen, it doesn't always have to be war. It doesn't always be straight command. Sometimes, just enjoying the small things in life. Realize that your path is far from complete, but realize what you have manifested so far. Try to take time to enjoy what you have around you. That sometimes we can forget the things we've accumulated in this life or the experiences we have, especially in our fast-paced world or your fast-paced computer-like minds, is that, you could be so busy trying to achieve new, and finding the latest trend or finding the newest item, but how often do you actually go back and reflect and look back at the things you have? Go back and look at your old social media pages, just instead of waiting for Facebook to look down and say, oh, it's your anniversary for this picture or interact with this person. When's the last time you looked through an old family photo album book? If you're lucky enough to have a family photo album book, just go back and reflect on times when you were a child. If you have siblings, if you have a healthy relationship with your parents, whatever, just look through old photo books. It's just saying, like, realize you have achieved a lot of things to be proud of and happy within you, whereas the Emperor is saying, I must be an authority figure, I must be at a certain point in my life. And that could be a struggle, because if you feel like at a certain point in your life that you are meant to achieve more, or that you're meant to have to be in total control in order to have a good life, that's still achievable. I can see that correspond, like how can you enjoy the small things in life if you're not an authority figure? Having to constantly be, it's strange too. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Being the Emperor, it can be a task, in order to enjoy the finer things in life or moments you've had. I mean, if you're not in control of your life and you're constantly having to, deal with somebody else being the Emperor, how could you possibly find a way to enjoy time in this life? But really, that's the ultimate goal, is the world is asking you just to take a little bit of time to reflect, whereas what you're saying is, no, I need to be in charge, I need to find a way to achieve this power, but not only achieve it, but maintain it. But remember, the overall energy is trying to find harmony in a situation where you can wake up every day, feeling it. So harmonize that, I would say. Harmonize the Emperor energy with the Four of Wands. And the last card we have for you is the Three of Pentacles, and for the world is the Four of Cups. So the Three of Pentacles, to me, is all about being qualified for whatever work you're putting into. People trust what you're capable of, even if you haven't even finished something that you said you can do. A lot of people are definitely willing to invest within you, because they've either seen the history or they know the quality of your character. Two things that are important, even if you're not physically building something or starting something, is that realizes that you need to have faith that if you are in charge, a lot of people are willing to take that opportunity to invest within you, and you need to invest within yourself. Know that you have plenty of things to be proud of, plenty of qualities within you that make you a worthy person to not only achieve greatness, but build on top of that greatness. You're totally able to keep on building and learning more. And the Emperor, that's the thing, he maintains power because he never says, I'm too old to learn that trick. It's always about really that you can keep on learning and learning and learning. But what you have learned so far, sure, you may not feel like the Emperor, and you still may need charity from the universe, or make sure you're giving and taking, spending your time on things that are worthy of you. But what it's asking of you is ultimately to realize that you have a lot of skills that other people don't have, and they can definitely utilize. Whereas the world is saying the Four of Cups, it's just saying, like, don't be afraid to stick with what you know and focus on that, but as well as don't be blind to opportunities. Don't let the stubbornness of life, don't let the concrete, sure, you might have a lot of talents in a certain situation, but if you're not able to take hints from the universe or people around you saying like, hey, you're good at this, you can totally switch this, you know, going from A to Z or A to J, you know, so many different qualities of what you could do now. It's like this, you know, imagine, I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head, but it's almost like somebody that's, you know, extremely good at, you know, math for rocket science, and all of a sudden they're able to dictate math in a way that helps people build a machine where they can make, you know, slam dunks every time. I know that's a weird thing, or using math instead of using it for science, using a way to create, you know, like architecture. You know, just it's so much applicable. There's so many different fields that you can use your qualifications now, but don't be afraid to, you know, to accept outside influences on something that's totally foreign and new, because it could be your winning ticket. You could think all you're worthy of is these 3 cups, and ultimately that 4th cup right there is something you can never think of, and therefore the universe is bringing it to you. But you don't want to be that person that, you know, stayed in his house waiting for God to give him a sign, and God sent him 3 different people, and when he's going up to heaven, and God says, you know, he says to his God, how come you didn't save me? And he says, well, I sent you these 3 different people and you didn't listen. So, not a religious person, just a funny story. Alright, so this is your last card, your Oracle card. This is from the Indigo Angels deck from Dorian Virtue. So let's get you 1 card. And thanks again, Gemini. It really is nice to have you here. It's my first time doing your guys' reading. I'm really enjoying your guys' energy. I talk really fast when it comes to you guys. But also, too, it's, you know, just fun because, I mean, being a Gemini is so different from how I am. Alright, this card says you already know. Get the card right here for you. You already know. This card ironically comes to you when the answer is something you already know but are denying or require confirmation of. In this circumstance, the angels are saying that you have the answers, and you also know exactly what to do to move forward. This card asks you to trust in yourself and the divine order of the universe and do its best for you. Only good can come from listening to your inner guidance, and only good can come from you trusting your own intuition. Right, and that helps complement the reading in itself. I want to say thank you so much, Gemini. My name is Drew, and this is the Indigo Void. See you next time.